25 or 21 Episode 1. The story started with a pretty interesting thing as the history repeated itself but with a twist. While Nahidu has always fought for her dream to become a fencer, she watched her daughter Kim Min-chai giving up on her ballet dream. Running from her mother, Min-chai ran to her grandmother's house to relax. While rooting around in her room, Min-chai finds her mom's diary. As she opens it up, she finds juicy details surrounding her life. Min-chai begins reading the entries, which immediately sees us cut back to the heavily saturated world of 1998. In the midst of IMF financial crisis, there are protests in the street about protecting the film industry, but for Hee-do, she's too young and naive to even think about this and continues on her way to Taeyanghai. There, she finds Go Yurim. Yurim is a hugely talented fencer, and Hee-do has big dreams to one day become her rival, and she wanted to shine as badly as her. But her dreams came crashing down when the IMF financial crisis hit. The school decided to shut off the fencing team. And while Nahidu and her teammates questioned their future in fencing, their coach discouraged them even more and told them to join regular classes. Hee-do asked her mother if she could transfer to Yurim's school as her school's team was now non-existent. But her mother just told her to quit fencing as she isn't really good at it anymore. As the pair argue, the new paper boy, Bak Yi-jin, arrives at the house with the newspaper. It's his first day and he overhears everything, eventually throwing the newspaper but breaking the peeing boy statue outside. As fate would have it, there's even a note specifically saying not to deliver newspapers. It's the crux of Hee-do's anger as she heads out and confronts the paper boy. Yi-jin has only just moved into the neighborhood and he's got a part-time job in the comic book store too. Funnily enough, Hee-do is actually a regular here. She then went to see Coach Yang Chan-mi asking her to take her in the team. Determined to get a compulsory transfer, Hee-do went on to pick some fights with other students. She even entered a club hoping to get arrested but got dragged into a karaoke room instead. Before the crisis hit, Hee-jin had everything he could ask for, but now he lives in a rooftop room in a shady place. Sitting between the college people as the guys try to lure her in, Hee-jin told them to send her out. Hearing his friend threatening to call cops, he went on to ring the fire alarm. Getting into a fight with him, Hee-jin took Hee-do outside and asked her what was she trying to do. Telling her to not do stupid things, he gave her the Full House Volume 11 she was looking for in the morning. Before saying goodbyes, the two ended up exchanging names. And Hee-do asked him to deliver newspapers to her house too. In the morning, Hee-do ends up in a big argument with her mum. Hee-do's mum is pretty cold toward her daughter, and over the years, Hee-do has always found solace in the words and pictures of the comic. This had been bad since her father has passed away, which could explain Hee-do's mother's depression and cold demeanor. As the tears well up in her face, she eventually composes herself and walks away, not even looking at her daughter as she leaves the house for work. Unfortunately, Hee-do is left in a sticky situation given the comic she's returning has ripped pages that are certainly not fit for the shelf. She does her best to replace the pages though, drawing them in herself. When Hee-do returns the book, she's an absolute wreck and struggles to get her words out around her cries. For Yi-jin though, he takes the comic back home and begins reading what she's done, struggling to hold in his laughs. Her spelling is pretty atrocious. The next morning, Hee-do shows up to see Coach Yang. She manages to pass the first test, swiping an apple in her sword in midair. The second test? A complete and utter failure. She has to guess odds or evens and she fails every time. She even loses her shoes. However, her tenacity and Coach Yang's skills are enough for her to allow Hee-do to study at Yang High. Interestingly, it turns out that she was already granted a place there before. Hee-do's mum actually showed up earlier in the day and asked her for a chance to teach Hee-do. She may be prickly and standoffish, but this woman also has a heart too and can see how important it is to her daughter. So Hee-do manages to go to her new high school after all, and calls out to Yi-jin for his help in achieving this. Only, he's already passed the house and dropped off the paper. Still, he happens to overhear all of this from behind the hedges, and smiles warmly, issuing a congratulations